the race skeptics who claim that races don't exist? Where are all the race skeptics who claim that they don't know what proportion of IQ differences among populations is attributable to genetic differences among populations? Public policy operates on the premise that the gaps are purely social, that their existence is shameful, and that they must close. Where is the skepticism? Why do the purported skeptics engage vigorously in doubting that IQ is mostly genetic, but remain silent in the face of the aggressively imposed dogma that IQ differences among groups are in no part genetic? Public policy is being based on the unsubstantiated belief that the IQ gaps are in no part genetic.
Not a YouTuber, just like making videos. And this is going to be our first in a series of videos that I'm going to come across where I'm going to try to, well, actually I am going to debunk this guy. Has a channel called Libertarian Realist. He also has other channels too going by another name, but he puts together a lot of videos. And his videos really, you know, no matter what method he used, all his mumbo jumbo, you know, his intelligent speak, it's pretty much stone cold racism. I'm like, this guy is pretty much a stupid ass YouTuber with a bunch of dick riders, followers. You know, I can't believe people actually digest his rhetoric and actually think that their IQ will be sharpened. Now I'm going to go into the concept when people bring up IQ and race. You know what I'm saying? Because these scientific racists, they consider themselves realists. They consider themselves, well, look at, you know, look at the IQ scores. You know what I'm saying? We have to be realistic with ourselves. You know, black people can't be civilized. Black people can't live on a, you know what I'm saying, don't have the same values as whites, and so forth. And okay, and then he talks about the progressive movement, you know, because you know the term, the whole progressive movement, you know, that's interchangeable. You know, when the libertarians and the conservatives and, you know, the white bigots hear that word progressive movement, you know, it's a bad word and so forth. Wait a minute here. Let me show you a picture here. Okay, this is a picture that's literally called, the name of this painting is literally called American Progress. Oh wow. Now you see back in those days when if you look at that picture here, it's an angel in the sky, and down below is white people moving from the east to the west. Now that's a part of the painting. The whole painting shows Native Americans in Buffalo fleeing, but you ain't going to see that in that picture there. Well, but you see, if you notice, there was stage wagons and power lines going up, and it was progress. See, back then, progress was, you know what I'm saying, the white man putting his foot down. You know, the Native Americans being expulsed and white people populating, they're taking over, and technology, you know, the phone lines, the power lines coming up, that was considered progress. Now, that was when progress for white people was a good word. Now progress is a dirty word, because progress means racial equality, diversity, multiculturalism. So now progress is bad, you know what I'm saying? But libertarian realists won't even point that out and so forth. So hence, when do we stop progressing? So their theory is like, oh, you know, when white people was coming from the slums, the cellars, and the gutters of Europe, and they wanted to advance, you know what I'm saying, and put themselves in a higher plateau, progress was good. But then it stops at one point. So for him, it stops. It stops when white people are eating good and black people are their servants, you know, and so forth. And now that, you know, the wheels of progress will keep going, and now they're like, oh no. You see what I mean? So that whole thing is debunked. Now he goes into race and IQ, and really, when judging people's IQ, first of all, let's go into the concept of IQ and IQ test and how it originated, because a lot of the racial realists won't shine any light in that direction. The IQ test was created by a French clinical psychologist, and he only used that to determine if kids need remedial studies, so forth. To determine the normal kids from those who had a learning disability, and so forth. And then it was used on the overall populace. Just to determine, hey, who's an idiot and who's normal, who's smart. And now it expanded and was distorted and used to judge the races. And usually they use that IQ test. It's really it's the same old rigmarole. It goes right back into white and black. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they really care about the intelligence gaps between white people and anybody they are not exploiting. You know what I'm saying? They also used it on the Aboriginals at the same time they were wiping them out and they wanted to exploit them and so forth. So, but you know what I'm saying? But it really goes into culture. And it's not a surprise that white people who live in a higher tax bracket in better neighborhoods than white people who live in the gutters is going to have a higher IQ. If you know what I'm saying, if they value their educational system, and if they have a proper functioning family. A dysfunctional family, who don't value such things, you're going to have produce lower IQ scores. Hence, you see, back in the days when white people were just surrounded by other white people, and the rich people, wanted to brush the poor people off like lice. They used it in that manner. Matter of fact, they thought the Irish people, who were also Anglo-Saxon, was inferior, to the Brits, or that poor people, were just inferior to rich people. Matter of fact, Adolf Hitler felt that the rich, the upper echelon, should resort to incest, because hence they feel that rich people are intelligent. Now this is cockamamie. This is such idiocy, and its finest. You have to assume that, oh wow, these people who got wealthy is because they're intelligent or whatever. You have to understand that a lot of things that create poor people, that dictate the environment that poor people dwell in, is the greed and the gluttony of the rich. There's a coalition there. Rich people, sitting on their thrones and sit up there and say, well, everybody can make it. I worked hard and whatever, and so forth. But their actions directly affect those, who are living in the lower class. And then the lower class, have their uprisings and so forth. So hence, but since the lower class have to work, work to the bone and have limited resources and so forth, means they won't have maybe that level of intelligence and measure rich people. Hence, lower class people can't travel a lot, or their values are different because of how they've been brought up. Hence, if you was rich people have the ability to travel, to maneuver, to experience different cultures and so forth, and and they want to flaunt their wealth. Not only that, but their intelligence too. But but yeah, it really goes back into exploiting people. When you prove that somebody is subhuman, a lot of them can sleep better at night. Now with blacks, yeah, the thing is, black people in America, what they want us to adapt this degenerate culture. This wretched culture, this single motherhood, the projects, living in the projects for a life, this destitute world without change. And then they're going to measure our IQ by this. See, and one thing I get pissed off about the ghetto black people is that, when they see a black person talking white, which there's no clear definition of exactly what talking white is, because broken English and a lot of poor white people, are guilty of this atrocity too. But the poor black, the ghetto blacks, who themselves have adopted a culture that is not there, some American ghetto bastardized culture. They can't point the finger at any other blacks and say that, hey, you're not acting black enough and so forth. There's no definition of acting black enough. Hence, ghetto blacks culture was created through oppression, degradation, social engineering, and white people wanting to keep black people stupid. And a lot of blacks embrace this, and any black person who wants to disassociate themselves, with this lifestyle, they can't say, hey, you're acting white, when them themselves have taken on a culture that doesn't belong to them. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. But yeah, so IQ can be, it goes by culture, not race. See, if somebody is not in the know, they won't even know how to define what race is. It's flimsy. Some people say it's a social structure. Now, the same white racists, the realists from American Renaissance, try to define race by skeleton type. He said, well, if race is determined by, is a social construct, we'll talk to the archaeologists because they'll determine race by skeletons. Okay, I'll agree with him about that. But hence, how many different skeleton genotypes are there? There's 5. I've talked about this in my last video. Oh no, not my last, but a previous video. There's a Capoid, Congoid, Caucasian, Australoid, and Mongoloid. And there's some slight variations, depending on what region, a Mongoloid lives in and so forth, But, so we have the 5 major genotypes right there. So, the Japanese are the same genotype as the Native Americans. The Japanese are the same genotype as the Filipinos, people of the Philippines. But we know that the Japanese are living at a higher standard of living than Filipinos. So that's where his arguments get completely debunked there. That we need to go into culture and IQ and not race and IQ and so forth. Same thing with the Eskimos. The Eskimos are technically the same race as the Japanese. But they were, living in igloos or whatever and had dog sleds. But yeah, it's about culture and what your culture embraces. Like, for instance, one thing the race realists won't talk about, they always talk about how the Asians excel. See, this is a thing that they feel that they can't be labeled as a white supremacist because they want to recognize Asian people as having a superior intellect to them. But I really think that this is an afterthought. They mainly focus on, after watching all libertarians video, a lot of libertarian videos. I watched 5 of them last night. A lot of shit by Jared Taylor and the American Renaissance. It's to focus on the gap between black people and white people. You know what I'm saying? All the other little things are just side notes. They're not important. You know what I'm saying? It goes. You know what I'm saying? It goes back into that same conflict. Now, African immigrants perform at the same level as Asian immigrants, but they won't tell you this. Because they'll look at Africa and they'll look at the more destitute type countries, and then they'll compare it to the American ghettos and so forth, and draw some sort of bridge there. Like, hey, these people are operating on a low frequency of intelligence here. Even the what was that mom? That mom who said that Chinese whatever had superior culture, and then she wrote a book about superior cultures, and she put Nigerian in there. Yeah, and the Nigerians, about the Nigerian email scam, yeah, they perform considerably well in this country. And that's one thing that they won't I tell you. But yeah, it's I know I'm repeating myself, But yeah, IQ is determined by culture, and this is the reason why they want blacks to embrace such a degenerate culture, and have brainwashed some blacks into believing that, you know, that this ghetto is, you know what I'm saying, it's part of their being and so forth, you know, and to the point where, you know, there's a whole lot of propaganda on that on the radio and TV, and then black people themselves, even the ones that want to be entrepreneurs in the entertainment industry, have superimposed the idea of the ghetto on black people. And I was trying to somewhat get into this in my Ghetto Gaggers videos, but people, you know what I'm saying, it went over their heads and so forth. But now, as I said, I'm going to really focus on some real heavy insight here. But, you know, the thing is, with race and IQ and so forth, it goes into I think it goes into what white people's, not all white people's, paranoia, you know, of this progress of you know, we know that the children at the age of 5, white people are the minority, and that's what got them scared, you know, and so forth. And they feel that, you know, when the blacks take over, when the minorities take over and so forth, that our culture is going to be, you know what I'm saying, is going to go down the tubes. You know, it's going to bring the culture down. Now, as much, you know, throughout, ever since black people's freedom, you know, they have talked about the Negro problem. That dude Carlisle talked about the Negro question. Can black people be civilized? You know, how can it benefit their culture? But white people have not came up with a proper dissertation on how blacks are bringing their culture down. Hence, there's a lot of ills, you know what I'm saying, in our society, you know, in the world, that there's no possible way you can blame on blacks, because blacks do not have the power. Hence, pollution, air pollution, biohazards, you know what I'm saying, obesity, greed, corporate takeover, you know what I'm saying, military intervention, unjustified war, weapons, you know, guns. You know, there's things that there's no possible way you can blame on blacks. So hence, what are black people doing that's so detrimental to American society? Well, you talk about what violence. You know, see, for every action there's a reaction. Hence, this is why we have the prisons here. You know, we have the police officers and their advanced cars and their advanced weaponry. And not to mention the majority of black people that are in jail for you know what I'm saying, non-violent offenses, you know, smoking weed, doing the same thing white people are doing. So hence the argument is inconclusive. You know, I'm like, first of all, you legalize drugs, you know, you lower the crime rate significantly. And if you take guns off the street, or somehow try to downplay our media, which embraces gunplay, you know, and this ain't just rap music, but this is a video games, music, other media, and so forth. But also, if you want to talk about the intelligence of our culture, I'm like, we live in a culture where, you know, Justin Bieber is looked at as a god. I'm like, our culture embraces a whole lot of silly ass rhetoric and so forth. Almost like people don't have anything else to do. You know what I'm saying? And black people did not any way stall technical advancements like the launching of the internet and so forth, and iPhones and cars with computer navigated systems and so forth. You know, so if you have a whole lot of money, you can experience these things. You can live at a higher standard of living. You know, we didn't stop globalization, you know, airports and so forth. I'm like, man, content on complaining about something. Alright, this has already been going on too long. Like, this is just the start of a series. So, get ready, be prepared. Thanks for watching, and sally forth.